So we just got the final trailer for Tears of the Kingdom, and one of the biggest questions in the community, debate, argument, whatever you want to call it, has been if Tears of the Kingdom is even worth it or if it's a glorified DLC. We have the Sky Island sections, which at this point seem pretty expansive, but a large chunk of the explorable open world is taken from Breath of the Wild. Now, we have seen some significant changes, but with a game predicated and sold on its open world design and exploring new locations and areas at your own pace, repackaging older areas struck a chord for some. Combine that with the price hike from $60 to $70, we'll get to that, and some people were critical of the actual value proposition behind Tears of the Kingdom, and honestly, I get it. The value of a full-priced game comes with its subjective qualities to it, and the individual and what they can afford, and in an era of massive game sales on top of a plethora of free-to-play games, yeah, I stand by the idea that if you're going to sell me a full-priced game in this day, you dang well better be able to make it worth it. Cause with that same dollar value, I can just wait for a big Steam sale or an eShop sale and get more value per dollar that way. When the likes of The Witcher 3 can just go on sale for $5, what are you bringing to the table? Well, this is a question that deserves to be asked for every release, and Tears of the Kingdom is no exception in my eyes. So let's take a look at the information available to us, and outside of actually, waiting for streams and reviews to come out, see if the game is at least trending in the direction of being worth the price. Okay, so like I said at the top of the video, the map that we know of so far is split into two main sections. The Sky Islands that seemingly expand the entirety of Hyrule, which is also a starting point, by the way, and the ground level, or what they call the surface Hyrule, that we knew from Breath of the Wild, with some changes to it, like new towns, giant new ravines and caverns, caves, that they even call dank caves on the website. I'm not joking about that. And how expansive those changes turn out to be in totality, we just have to wait and see. However, those island sections seem to be far more expansive than I initially thought, and if they actually do expand across the entire map of Hyrule, it wouldn't be double the area to explore per se, cause, well, they are islands, not just a contiguous landmass. But they could provide varied gameplay experiences and still make the world feel new to explore. And depending upon the verticality of some of these islands, there may be more to them than meets the eye. Whether the ground of Hyrule or the surface falls in line with that is something we just have to wait and see. However, when it comes to exploratory adventure-based games, the sandbox of tools at your disposal becomes a pivotal aspect of not just the game and encounter design, but the world design as well. Take Breath of the Wild. Exploring Hyrule before and after getting Rivali's Gale is a different experience, because that ability changes the way you view elevation and how you tackle it. Walls too high before become manageable and climbable, some with ravines, same with pretty much any moment in the game that calls for navigation. Hyrule Castle being another example. Rivali's Gale changes the way you traverse around Hyrule, and since moving around the overall map and exploring it is the key selling point here, and it's also the highlight of the game, that one ability becomes extremely important for a couple of reasons. Not only does it enable you to do things you couldn't before, but it recontextualizes places you have been before, and changes the way you tackle them. Or, you may think of a place from before in your adventures that you couldn't navigate before, or you had to go around, and now you have the tool to do what you wanted to initially. This recontextualization is a key aspect of the pacing of an open world game, which keeps the player engaged and invested in the world, and helps it from feeling stagnant or repetitive. Let's pivot over to a previous game from the Wii U that Monolith Soft developed, who, by the way, I'm pretty sure are helping with Tears of the Kingdom. Xenoblade Chronicles X. That game is probably my favorite example of a game that did this whole idea of keeping the open world feel fresh and new to dang near perfection. And it's all because of the Skell system, which are these giant robots you gain access to in Chapter 6, or after Chapter 6. And these Skells give you far more speed, and let you traverse higher heights and farther distances with your jumps. And you unlock it decently into the game. It took me about 20 to 25 hours to get there, I think. But then after you unlock it, or after you unlock flying, there is content each step of the way for each of these big unlocks. Your first Skell, which gives you a vehicle form to maneuver around the world faster, higher jumps, farther jumps as well, but then, later on in the game even further, you can unlock the ability to make your Skell fly. So what happens with the game after you get flying? New sky islands become available, new locations you couldn't access before, new bosses load in, aerial battles become a thing. The game gives you new tools to interface with its world, while also providing new content to coincide with that, on top of the old. It keeps the world of Mirror, the world of Xenoblade X, feeling fresh and new, and always fun to explore, because it incentivizes the player to revisit locations or to navigate the new ones to reap the benefits of their new ability. Breath of the Wild did this in a few ways. Gear effects like Majora's Mask, making monsters far more manageable, or stealth gear, or gear that affects hot and cold resistances, or Rivali's Gale, or horses. The game gives you a variety of obstacles, but then gives you different tools at different increments in time based on where and when you explore certain areas that you can use to explore more of Hyrule. It puts the onus of exploring various sections on you, the player, and when you find certain tools, you may then feel incentivized to go explore different areas compared to someone else. It's a very non-linear style of gameplay. And sure, the shrine system could feel repetitive and a bit immersion-breaking, since they whisk you away to a wildly different aesthetic to solve a little puzzle or fight something, but the progression with the spirit orbs adds another layer of player agency on top of that, and on top of what we were just talking about by giving you the choice of speccing into more stamina so you can run or climb farther without getting tired or gain more health, so mobs are more manageable, or to get the Master Sword. It doesn't force this on you. You choose what you want when you want, and those tools are there to help you navigate the world that we were just talking about, but then also to help you find these shrines that you can use for upgrades to better utilize these previous tools, and it's a cyclical cycle of progression where each style feeds into the other. That's all well and good for Breath of the Wild, but what about Tears of the Kingdom? What are they going to do to spruce things up? Well, we don't know exactly. We know some things. We don't know everything. I imagine a similar style of progression will be coming, but what we do know is that we are getting some new abilities to add to the kit. I'm not sure if we retain the old Sheikah Slate abilities, I kinda hope we do, but at least the new ones we're getting are the following. Ultra Hand, besides making me want to pull a Sheen from Jimmy Neutron and shout, Ultra Lord! Lets us load up Hyrule Blender to edit objects, rotate, move them, but also attach objects together so we can create makeshift vehicles or contraptions from various parts. That right there changes the entire style of the game depending upon what's in the sandbox to support that idea. But on top of that, we also get Fuse, which lets us fuse, get it, objects and weapons together for different effects, like more durability, that could be a big one, damage or various effects. Like if you attach a monster eye to an arrow, it becomes a homing arrow. Attach a certain type of mushroom to a shield, and when it gets hit, it turns into a giant dust cloud. Ascend lets us essentially clip through ceilings, which apparently work on mountains if you can find a cave. This changes how you navigate the world fundamentally, because you could be at the bottom of a mountain, find a way into a cave, use Ascend, get to the top, and then glide down to a different part of the map. That could be really freaking helpful and handy. And then Recall, which reverses an object's time, which we saw be used to send projectiles back at those Squidward enemies, but can also be used on falling debris from the Sky Island so we can essentially elevate our way up there. Each of these abilities aren't just boring additions, and from the looks of them, they fundamentally alter how we navigate Hyrule and tackle various situations, and opens up more opportunities for player agency, which was Breath of the Wild's strength. And to me, those things and the Sky Islands are the selling point here, in terms of the gameplay, because they seem to be relying or leaning on the strengths of Breath of the Wild, instead of just changing stuff for the sake of changing it. And look, at the end of the day, it's impossible to tell at this point whether the game is going to be worth $70, because that value proposition will vary upon the individual, and that's fine. What may be worth it to you may not be worth it to someone else. So if you are still on the fence, I think it would be smart to wait for release to see some gameplay, check out some reviews or some streams. I'll be covering the game extensively on the channel if you want to take a look. And if you are someone who deeply enjoyed Breath of the Wild like I did, and are invested in the story again like I am, and you just want to play, and you look at the information we have right now at our disposal and say, yep, with the information we have right now, that's what I like to see, that is good enough for me, so far. No worries. It's just a matter of taking that step back and evaluating it for yourself, and asking yourself if this is worth it to you, and if that answer is yes, it is, all power to you. And if that answer is no, that's fine too. Just engage in smart consumer practices, but I'm not someone who's going to try and push pessimism unnecessarily, unless it's warranted, and I enjoyed Breath of the Wild. So I don't feel the need to be overtly pessimistic outside of the fact it went up to $70. I find it more fun to identify games and series that I thoroughly enjoy and be excited for new releases and new games. Zelda's one of those franchises for me. I have enjoyed basically every entry of it that I have played. Breath of the Wild is one of my favorite games. Tears of the Kingdom looks like it's taking what I enjoyed from Breath of the Wild and giving me more of that. It looks up my alley, but it may not be up yours, and again, that is fine. And it's fine to be excited for things, just be careful not to let it blind you and go too far. Everything in moderation and all that. I'd rather focus on the games and series that I enjoy than devote time to those I don't, and I'd rather go into a game looking for things to like than for things to be critical or negative of, because if I do that, I'm probably more likely to appreciate more things rather than be negative about things I'd otherwise probably not even notice or care about, compared to the other aspects. Just do what you need to do to find out if a game is going to be worth it to you, and whether or not you want to actually buy the thing. Look up reviews, look up gameplay, streams, whatever, to make sure that it's going to be good value for you. So, I'm going to call the video there for the day. In conclusion, if it's going to be worth it to you is going to vary upon what you want and how much you value $70. Maybe there's a bunch of other games that are on sale that you just prefer over getting Tears of the Kingdom, that's fine. Or maybe you just want to go and play Tears of the Kingdom, because I want to. I'm really looking forward to this game. I'm hoping it lives up to my expectations. I'm hoping that what we have seen so far is representative of the final product, because if it is, I'd probably be satisfied and enjoy what I get. Just engage in smart consumer practices. So thank you everybody for tuning in. My pleasure making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. And hit the bell icon to be notified for what I upload in the future. Leave a comment down below with what you are most excited for or most hesitant about for Tears of the Kingdom. Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts and hear your perspectives. Stay safe, everybody. Have a great day. Go play some video games if you can. As always, I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody.